Welcome to another episode of Prem and Proper. This is Nyle back again, and today we are going to be looking at Week 19 Premier League and the fixtures that have happened. Lots of insane results, so let's go ahead and dive into them. So let's start off with Brentford's 3-1 win against Liverpool. This was a very eventful match. Liverpool could have gone off to a quick and good start as Darwin Núñez had a chance to score in the 7th minute. However, his shot was blocked by Ben Mee. Some will say that this was poor finishing. For me, it was good defending by Mee. And then Brentford would then score in the 17th minute from a corner kick after the ball bounced off of Ibrahima Konaté's knee. Yohan Wissa would score in 26th minute once again off a set-piece sequence, but the goal was called back due to it being offside. Wissa would once again be denied a goal from VAR that he scored in the 39th minute. He finally scored in the 42nd minute after heading the ball into the back of the net. Alisson did everything he could to keep it out, but it went over the line. It was honestly just poor defending all around from Liverpool as Wissa was left unmarked in the box. Darwin Núñez thought that he would finally get his goal in the 47th minute after a delicious chip, but the goal was called back for offside. The goal to bring Liverpool back into the match would finally come in the 50th minute after a great cross from Trent Alexander-Arnold found Oxlade-Chamberlain as he headed the ball into the back of the net. It was surprisingly Trent's first assist of the season. Liverpool had a chance to score in the 80th minute after Konaté was agonizingly close to make it 2-2 for Liverpool off a set piece. Momentum seemed to be shifting Liverpool's way. However, it would be ultimately killed in the 84th minute. It all started from Nordgaard taking the ball away from Keita. He then plays an excellent ball to Mbeumo as he just simply shrugged off Konaté and slid the ball into the net. There was controversy on whether Konaté was fouled. For me, it was just poor defending all around. There's no reason why Konaté should have just defended like that. It was a massive result for Brentford. It was their first win against Liverpool since November 1938. Think about that, 1938. That is crazy. The win has catapulted the Bees to 9th place, just 1 point off Brighton and 2 points off Fulham and Liverpool. No Tony, no problem. Thomas Frank's side really showed how much of a threat they can be. They have now beaten 5 of the big 6 sides since being promoted. So Liverpool, City, Arsenal, United, and Chelsea. Definitely a night that won't be forgotten for them. For Liverpool, the alarm bells are ringing. They were on a 5-game unbeaten streak before this loss. And yet it is not completely surprising that they did not get 3 points today, as through that unbeaten streak, they have showed plenty of signs of worry, such as their defense not being completely strong. Liverpool had a chance to climb further up the table as they aimed to make it into the top 4, but now their chances have narrowed. So now let's go to Leicester's 1-0 win against Fulham's 1-0 win against Leicester. It was a bright start from Fulham as they generated plenty of chances. They were consistently causing problems for Leicester with their offensive threat. Mitrovic scored in the 17th minute after a great cross from Willian to score his 11th goal of the season. Ayoze Perez had the chance to tie the game in the 24th minute. He was left unmarked in the box, but he blazed his shot. The second half was ultimately better for Leicester as they started to test Fulham's defense. Yuri Tielemans had a great shot in the 80th minute that hit the back of the bar. Harry Wilson had the chance to extend Fulham's lead in the 90th minute as he was on the break, but could not apply the finishing touch. It was not the best performance for Fulham, but 3 points are what count. It is now a 3-game winning streak for Marco Silva's side as they catapult to 7th, just 5 points behind Tottenham. But, Leicester's struggles simply continue as they are now in the 3-game winless streak as they are 13th in the Premier League, just 2 points away from the relegation zone. So now let's go to Arsenal versus Newcastle in what was a 0-0 draw on January 3rd. Arsenal really tested Newcastle's defense with their blistering pace in the first couple of minutes, but they just couldn't find the back of the net. Arsenal's Gabriel had a great chance to give Arsenal the lead in the 34th minute after a glancing header from a free kick went narrowly wide. VAR looked at a potential penalty for Newcastle after Dan Burn thought that Gabriel tried to bring him down during a free kick and was just shouting expletives at the referee. And tempers really flared between the two sides in what was a very physical match. Newcastle had a chance to take the lead in the first minute of extra time in the first half, as a header from Joel Linton went just wide. Wilson had a chance to score after a beautiful run and pass into the box from Almiron, but he could not get a proper foot on it in the 49th minute. That all started from a poor giveaway from Ramsdale. I don't know what he was thinking there. He was simply taking way too much time with the ball at his feet. There was a great flick from Martinelli in the 79th minute. That was close to finding the back of the net, but it just missed. The controversy really started to occur in the 95th minute, as there was a shout for a handball after Arsenal thought that the ball hit Jacob Murphy's hand, and Arteta was irate. He was just simply really losing his mind on the sideline. I personally have never seen him act this crazy before. It went to the point where Arteta and Eddie Howe were exchanging words. It was a missed opportunity for Arsenal to extend their lead at the top of the table to 8 points. That was the first time Arsenal had not won a match in the Premier League since October 21st, and their 1-1 draw at Southampton. It was a big point for Newcastle against the league leaders, as they maintain their position as third in the Premier League, just 4 points behind Manchester City, and it extends Newcastle's unbeaten run to 13 games, the longest of any European side, and that is simply remarkable. This last time that Newcastle lost a match was on August 31st in their 2-1 loss to Liverpool at Anfield. Now let's take a look at Brighton's thumping of Everton at Goodison Park. And oh boy, were Everton just a hot mess here. It was an easy 4-1 away win for the Seagulls. At the beginning of the match, there was a want for a handball as Davies tried to head the ball and it hit Lewis Dunk's hand in the 4th minute, but there was no penalty call. It would be a bright start for Everton in the first 5 minutes as they created many chances. However, it would be a nightmare scenario for them in the 14th minute after Mitoma scored to give Brighton the lead, and he has been on fire recently. Caicedo, who is a brilliant player, played a beautiful pass that found Mitoma as he made a great run and a great finish. Ferguson scored to double the lead in the 51st minute, and it was his first goal in the Premier League, a special moment for the 18-year-old. Think about it, Brighton has a ton of talented players that are so young, and yet they are contributing heavily to their success. And this goal all started with a great play from Sarmiento as he simply dropped his shoulder and played a great pass to find Ferguson. 3 minutes later, it would go from bad to worse for Everton in the 54th minute as March cut through Everton's defense and just simply rolled the ball into the corner of the net. It was a beautiful goal to see. And then Pascal Gross really put the icing on the cake for Brighton in the 56th minute after a terrible mistake from Idrissa Gueye. For a guy of his experience, there should be no reason for him to do this. He simply passed the ball to Gross as he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and he lifted the ball over Pickford as it found the back of the net. Damari Gray would score a consolation goal in the 2nd minute of stoppage time after Brighton goalkeeper Sanchez brought Iwobi to the ground. After a promising 1-1 draw at the Etihad against City, this was a match that Everton had to build on. Instead, they were utterly embarrassed. Brighton just seemed to want it more. The alarm bells are ringing at Everton, and I think that it is time, or beyond time, that they part ways with Frank Lampard. I think that many, including myself, have been surprised to see that he has not even been sacked yet. However, you can't take anything away from Brighton too, as they were magnificent. They played some beautiful football, a good way to bounce back after their 4-2 defeat at home to Arsenal. The Seagulls have now catapulted to 8th place, a point behind Fulham and Liverpool. Even without Potter, the Seagulls have been doing a massive job. Now let's look at Manchester United's 3-0 win over Bournemouth. So United continued their winning ways on January 3rd in what was a big win at home against Bournemouth. A great set piece from Christian Eriksen would find Casemiro as he made a great run behind the Bournemouth defense and scored in the 23rd minute. I mean, Casemiro's been on fire lately. For me, right now, he is probably the best midfielder in the Premier League. And this was Bournemouth's weaknesses on set pieces once again being exposed. And then United's lead would double in the 49th minute. It all started with a great run and pass from the substitute Garnacho, who had to come on for Van de Beek as he got injured. And he played the ball to Luke Shaw as he slotted it home. I mean, Garnacho has really been a player that I have really liked for United. I think he's a really talented player, and his potential is just extremely unlimited, per se. This was the first time that Luke Shaw had scored a goal at Old Trafford since 2018. Think about that. That is crazy. A third goal nearly came for United in the 54th minute after a great ball from Casemiro found Martial. He could just not hit it in. And David De Gea came up big as he was able to keep Bournemouth from scoring on any chances that they had. One of David De Gea's best games that I have seen from him in a while. Garnacho was so close to scoring in the 77th minute, but his shot just hit the post. The third goal would finally come after a beautiful sequence, and this was actually a very beautiful, tremendous goal. Luke Shaw sent in a great cross to Bruno Fernandes as he made a great run, and then Fernandes was then able to pass the ball to Rashford as he easily sent it past Travers. It was Rashford's 7th goal of the season, a player in great form, which is, I think, a great thing to see because last season he had so many struggles, and now this season he's really been on fire. Now, let's take a look at Nottingham's 1-0 away win against Southampton. This was an important away win for them. Southampton had the chance to get the early lead with Adams making a run as he looked to hit the ball across the goalkeeper but missed. And boy, oh boy, these are chances that you have to take, especially a side like Nottingham that is in a huge crisis. Brendan Johnson had the opportunity to score in the 12th minute to give Nottingham the lead, but his shot hit the crossbar. However, it would not be a worry as Nottingham would score the goal that would give them 3 points in the 26th minute. It all started with Southampton as Lyanco just cheaply, and I mean cheaply, gives the ball away to Brendan Johnson, who then uses his blistering pace and tees the ball up to Ioniyi as he taps the ball into the back of the net. Southampton defensively just looked very nervous, and Nottingham could smell the blood in the water. It's a big result for Nottingham as it was their first away win of the season. They are no longer in the relegation zone as they are in 15th place. However, Southampton's woes, continue. They are at the bottom of the table and have been winless since October 19th when they beat Bournemouth in the 1-0 away win. You have to wonder if Jones' managerial reign at Southampton needs to be cut. Leeds and West Ham battled to a 2-2 draw on January 4th. Willie Noto would score with a tremendous finish after some great link-up play with Somerville in the 27th minute to give Leeds the lead. It was his first goal for Leeds United, and boy, what a first goal that was. Paqueta would score from the penalty spot to bring West Ham back into the game after Struijk committed a foul on Bowen. Scamacca would score an absolutely great goal from distance to give West Ham the lead from behind after a poor giveaway from U.S. international Brendan Aronson. Rodrigo would then score in the 69th minute to give Leeds the tying goal, an important one as the game was honestly slipping away from them at that point. It was his 10th goal of the season. And the chances for Rodrigo did not stop there. He had a great chance to score another goal and give Jesse Marsh's side the lead, but his shot was saved by Fabianski. Another big chance would come Leeds' way in the 85th minute when Liam Cooper was close to hitting the ball into the back of the net, but the shot was blocked by Antonio. But then the ball came back to him again a second time, and he blazed it over. Antonio had an opportunity to score the winning goal in the dying seconds of the match after a great pass from Ben Rama that cannot find Antonio. Rodrigo once again had a chance to score the winning goal for Leeds, but Fabianski came up big and saved Rodrigo's header. It was a very chaotic match. It was honestly very back and forth. Both sides will be disappointed not coming out with a win. West Ham will be most disappointed based on their standards. They are not a 17th place team. They should be up there in the middle, near the top 8 or even top 6. They have ended their 6-game losing streak, but as I said, they're still 17th in the Premier League. They are one place behind the relegation zone. Leeds will also be disappointed as they had a great chance to try to climb up the table in hopes of escaping relegation. They should have also came out with 3 points. Now let's look at Aston Villa's 1-1 draw with Wolves. Podence would score an absolute wonder goal to give his side the lead. The way that he just cut through defenders and find the space to score was remarkable. Wolves were close to scoring another goal just a couple minutes after that goal, but cannot convert on them as Emi Martinez was back and made some good saves. Augustinson was so close to bringing Villa back in it, but his shot was cleared off the line by Max Kilman. And Danny Ings brought Aston Villa back into the match in the 78th minute after a great ball from Mings to find the run of Ings. He just simply seems to love scoring against Wolves. However, the Portuguese goalkeeper for Wolves, Jose Sa, will be disappointed looking back at that goal as he slipped, and that made it easier for Ings. Leon Bailey had an opportunity to score the winner for Villa in the 3rd minute of stoppage time as he rounded the keeper. He just cannot finish, and he was devastated. After the game, the camera panned to him, and he was just simply, I think, crying to the point where his teammates had to console him. Wolves dominated for large parts of the game and will be disappointed that they did not get what would have been 3 crucial points that would have brought them out of the relegation zone. Villa will also be disappointed as a win would have catapulted them to 10th place. Now let's look at the Crystal Palace versus Tottenham match. It was a 4-0 away win for Tottenham at Crystal Palace. Kane would score in the 47th minute to give Tottenham the lead. It was a great cross from Perisic that found Kane at the far post. Kane would then score again in the 53rd minute to double the lead, a clinical finish. And then Matt Doherty would score his first goal of the season to make it 3-0 for Tottenham. Son would finally get his goal in the 72nd minute to make it 4-0. The first time he scored when starting the season, and you could see how much that goal meant to him. He was really ecstatic. He just simply threw away his mask because of the frustration that he held inside. But it was poor defending, though, from Guehi. There was no reason why shouldn't have. I mean, Guehi, obviously, he could have done a better job, is what I'm trying to say. It was a much-needed win for Tottenham to bounce back after their 2-0 home loss to Villa. They are still 5th, just 2 points behind United and Newcastle. It was a terrible performance, however, from Patrick Vieira's side, as they were terrible offensively and did not trouble Lloris enough. They are currently in 12th place. Now let's look at the last match from this week, Chelsea versus Man City. It was a 1-0 away win for Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. Aubameyang had to come on for Sterling in the 4th minute. Not an ideal first match for him against his now former club. Pulisic had a big chance to score after a great pass from Havertz in the 15th minute, but John Stones made an incredible tackle to deny him. I think for me, he was my man of the match for that game. He was ultimately everywhere defensively. Unfortunately for Chelsea, it resulted in the U.S. star being injured. 2 injuries in a matter of minutes. Carney Chukwuemeka would come on for Pulisic in the 22nd minute. Chukwuemeka had a chance to be a hero and score in the 43rd minute to give Chelsea the lead, but his shot went off the post. The goal would finally come for City in the 63rd minute. Both substitutes, Jack Grealish and Mahrez, make an immediate impact. Grealish would make a great pass that cut Chelsea's defense and found Mahrez as he was able to tap it in. It was not an ideal night for Aubameyang. He was subbed on in the 4th minute and then was subbed off in the 67th minute. This goes to show his performance. A big result for City. They needed to get a win in order to keep on putting pressure on Arsenal. A loss for them would have made it harder. Not saying that it would be impossible, but just harder for them. And they are now 5 points behind Arsenal. It was not pretty by any stretch, but 3 points is all what mattered. And the saying, good teams get wins no matter what the scenario is always true in this case. Chelsea showed some flashes. I thought that Chukwuemeka had a good game, but ultimately the disappointment continues as they are in 10th place. They have no excuse to be in this position. They are now suffering an injury crisis. And really my question is Graham Potter really the man to lead this team to where they need to be? There needs to be massive improvement from the Blues if they want to make it to the top 4, as the chances right now look very slim for them. New blood is needed. They have already signed Badiashile, the new French center back, to a 7-year contract, I believe, but they need more. So that's it. We have wrapped up this edition of Prem and Proper for this week of the Premier League. And make sure to tune back in to when we cover the Premier League matches for the week of January 15th. Thank you all very much, and see you next time.